She was called crazy for one moment of doubt. He called her madam when the truth came out. I remember the exact moment my marriage died, not when I found the messages, not when he called me crazy, but when I heard him laugh. That cruel, dismissive laugh that told me I'd never really mattered at all. It was a Tuesday night in March, unseasonably warm for Seattle, the kind of evening where you throw open the windows and pretend winter is finally over, even though you know better. I was standing in our kitchen, the one we'd renovated together just 2 years earlier, choosing between subway tiles and arguing about cabinet hardware like it was the most important decision of our lives. The marble countertop was cool under my palms as I steadied myself, trying to understand what I'd just seen. My phone, no, his phone, sat between us like a grenade with the pin pulled. "You went through my phone?" Marcus's voice was ice. Not hot anger, not defensive panic, just cold, calculated fury. "What the hell is wrong with you, Diane?" I should back up. Let me tell you how we got here, because this story doesn't start with betrayal. It starts with love, or at least what I thought was love. I met Marcus Chin at a friend's wedding in Portland 7 years ago. I was 28, recently promoted to senior marketing director at a tech startup, and absolutely convinced I didn't need a relationship to be complete. I'd watched too many of my friends lose themselves in mediocre partnerships, their dreams shrinking to fit someone else's life plan. Then, Marcus asked me to dance. He was 31, a corporate attorney with a smile that could disarm anyone, and eyes that actually crinkled when he laughed. Not the fake laugh you give at networking events, but the real kind, the kind that came from somewhere genuine. We talked for 4 hours straight, long after the bride and groom had left for their honeymoon suite. He told me about growing up in San Francisco, the son of immigrants who'd built a restaurant empire from nothing. I told him about my childhood in rural Montana, where my single mother worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. "You're going to think this is crazy," he said, as the venue staff started stacking chairs around us. "But I feel like I've known you forever." I did think it was crazy. I also felt exactly the same way. We dated for 2 years before he proposed, and they were good years, the kind where you actually like the person you're with, not just the idea of them. Marcus was thoughtful. He remembered that I hated cilantro, that I called my mom every Sunday morning, that I got anxious in crowded spaces. He'd leave little notes in my work bag. "You're going to kill that presentation today," or "Don't forget you're brilliant." When he proposed, it was at the aquarium where we'd had our 3rd date, in front of the jellyfish tank where we'd once spent an hour debating whether jellyfish could feel happiness. He got down on one knee, and I said yes before he could even finish the question. Our wedding was small, intimate, perfect. His parents flew in from San Francisco and immediately adopted me as their own. My mother cried through the entire ceremony, happy tears for once. Marcus's best man, his law school roommate, David, gave a speech about how Marcus had called him the night we met and said, "I just met the woman I'm going to marry." For 3 years, we were happy, really happy. We bought the house in Queen Anne, the one with the view of Elliott Bay that we couldn't quite afford but bought anyway. We adopted a rescue dog, a neurotic border collie mix we named Gatsby. We had Friday night dinner traditions and Sunday morning farmers market routines. We talked about having kids someday, maybe 2, and which room would make the best nursery. I should have known it was too perfect. The first crack appeared about 8 months before that Tuesday. Small things at first. Marcus started working late more often. Not occasionally, but 3, sometimes 4 nights a week. He'd come home after 10 claiming a big case, a demanding client, an important deadline. "Babe, you know how it is," he said, kissing my forehead while scrolling through his phone. "Franklin and Associates is gunning for this account. If we land it, I'm looking at a partnership track." I understood. I worked in tech. I knew about crunch time. I made dinner and saved him a plate. I walked Gatsby alone through the neighborhood at dusk. I watched Netflix by myself and fell asleep before he came to bed. Then his phone habits changed. Marcus had never been precious about his phone before. It lived on the kitchen counter, face up, available. Now it was always face down, always on silent, always in his pocket or his hand. "Who keeps texting you?" I asked one evening as his phone buzzed for the 5th time during dinner. "Just David, fantasy football stuff." He didn't look up from his plate. But I'd seen the name on the screen during one of those buzzes. Not David. Melissa. "Who's Melissa?" I tried to keep my voice light, casual. He looked up then, and something flashed across his face. Irritation? Guilt? It was gone too quickly to identify. "Melissa Burke. She's a paralegal at the firm. She's helping coordinate the Franklin case." "She texts you a lot for a paralegal." "Diane." He set down his fork. "Are you seriously doing this right now? I'm working my ass off and you're going to give me grief about work messages?" I dropped it. That was my first mistake. Over the next few months, Melissa's name came up more and more. Melissa had organized the case files brilliantly. Melissa had found a legal precedent they'd missed. Melissa was thinking about going to law school and Marcus was mentoring her. Melissa, Melissa, Melissa. "You should invite her to dinner sometime," I said once. Testing. "Yeah, maybe." Marcus was looking at his phone again. He never extended the invitation. I started noticing other things. New cologne, subtle but definitely new, more attention to his appearance in the mornings, the right shirt, the perfect tie, an extra minute on his hair. He'd started going to the gym at 6 in the morning instead of after work like he used to. "Getting old," he joked when I commented on it. "Gotta fight the dad bod before it arrives." But we weren't even trying for kids yet. I'd wanted to wait until my 30s, focus on my career. He'd agreed enthusiastically. Now I wondered if that had been real or just what I wanted to hear. I tried talking to my best friend Rachel about my concerns. "Has he given you any real reason not to trust him?" she asked over wine one evening at our favorite bar. "No, I mean, just a feeling." "Diane, you're one of the most rational people I know. If you have a feeling, there's probably something to it." She paused. "But also, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Maybe he really is just stressed about work." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe him. But the feeling wouldn't go away, this low-level hum of wrongness that colored everything. Then came Valentine's Day. Marcus forgot Valentine's Day. Not in a, "oops, I'll make it up to you tomorrow" way. He fully, completely forgot. I'd made reservations at Canlis, the nice place overlooking the lake that we'd been to for our anniversary. I bought a new dress, deep green, the one he'd admired in a window a month ago. I left work early to do my hair and makeup properly. He came home at 10:30. "Where were you?" I was still in the dress, the reservation long missed, the candles I'd lit burned down to nothing. Marcus stared at me like I was speaking another language. Then I watched the realization dawn, the color draining from his face. "Oh my God. Diane, I'm so sorry. The case, there was a development. We had to file an emergency brief." "On Valentine's Day?" "It's not like courts care about Valentine's Day, babe. This is my career. This is our marriage." That was our first real fight. Voices raised, words that couldn't be taken back. He slept on the couch that night. The next day he brought home roses, grocery store roses, clearly grabbed in desperation, and a card with a generic message about love and appreciation. "I'm sorry," he said, and he looked sorry. "I've been so wrapped up in work, I'll do better." And for a few weeks he did. He came home earlier, he put his phone away during dinner, he planned a weekend trip to the coast, just the two of us, and it was almost like old times. Almost. But Melissa's name still came up. Her texts still came through at odd hours. And when I gently brought it up, suggesting maybe their communication was a bit much for a professional relationship, Marcus exploded. "You're being paranoid, Diane. Seriously, you're acting crazy. Melissa is my colleague. We work together. That's it. I can't believe you don't trust me. That word, crazy, sat in my chest like a stone. He'd never called me that before. Marcus, who praised my intelligence, my instincts, my rationality, had called me crazy for trusting my gut. So I decided to stop being crazy. I decided to get proof. That Tuesday in March, Marcus came home from the gym and jumped straight into the shower. He left his phone on the kitchen counter. He never left his phone on the kitchen counter anymore. I stared at it for a full minute, my heart pounding. This was a violation. This was crossing a line. This was exactly what he'd accused me of being crazy enough to do. But I couldn't shake the feeling. The months of late nights, the mysterious texts, the way he said her name, Melissa, with a softness he hadn't used when saying mine in so long. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking. I knew his passcode. It was the date we'd started dating, a code he'd never changed. Would he have changed it if he had something to hide? It unlocked. I went straight to messages, straight to Melissa's name, and there it was. Months of messages, hundreds of them, and they weren't about case files or legal precedents. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. When is she going on that business trip again? I need you. Tell me again how you're going to leave her. That last one was from yesterday. Yesterday when Marcus had kissed me goodbye, told me he loved me, reminded me to pick up his dry cleaning. I scrolled further back, my stomach churning. There were photos, not explicit but intimate. Melissa at a restaurant I recognized, the one where Marcus had supposedly been at a work dinner. Melissa in a hotel room. Melissa and what looked like our car. They'd been together for at least 6 months, maybe longer. There were messages about me, too. Marcus complaining about my nagging, my suspicions, my trust issues. Melissa commiserating, calling me a controlling bitch. Them laughing together about how clueless I was. She actually believes you're mentoring me. She's so naive. I know, sometimes I almost feel bad. Almost. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. I should have taken screenshots. I should have documented everything. Instead, I just stood there, frozen, the phone in my hand, the evidence of my disintegrating marriage glowing on the screen. Marcus walked into the kitchen in his towel, saw me with his phone, and his face transformed. What the hell do you think you're doing? Who's Melissa? My voice was surprisingly steady. Really? Who is she? Give me my phone, Diane. Answer the question. You went through my phone? You invaded my privacy? What is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? You're cheating on me. You've been cheating on me for months. I'm not, God, you're insane. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're crazy, you know that? Crazy and paranoid and... I read the messages, Marcus. All of them. Don't you dare gaslight me. He lunged for the phone. I pulled it back. We struggled, and in the chaos, the phone clattered to the floor. The screen cracked, a spiderweb of broken glass that felt metaphorical. Get out, I said. This is my house, too. Get out. He didn't get out. Instead, we had the worst fight of our marriage right there in our renovated kitchen. He denied, then minimized, finally admitted to an emotional affair, but swore they'd never slept together. You expect me to believe that? I don't care what you believe. You violated my privacy. You have no right. I have every right. You're my wife. You're my warden. You're always checking up on me, always suspicious, always because you're a liar. It went on for hours. Around midnight, he finally left, peeling out of our driveway in his BMW, probably headed straight to Melissa's place. I sat on the kitchen floor with Gatsby's head in my lap and cried until I had nothing left. The next few weeks were a blur. I called in sick to work, something I never did. Rachel came over and didn't leave for 3 days. She made me eat, made me shower, made me function. You need a lawyer, she said, not just any lawyer, a shark. I'm not ready. Diane, he's going to come at you with everything. You went through his phone. He's going to use that. You need to protect yourself." She was right. Marcus came home 2 days later with his own attorney, ironically from a rival firm. He wanted an amicable divorce, he said, a clean split. We'd divide assets fairly, no need for court. And if I don't agree to amicable? His jaw tightened. Then we do this the hard way, and trust me, you don't want that. I hired Victoria Chen, no relation to Marcus, she made very clear. Victoria was in her 50s, sharply dressed, with a reputation for destroying cheating spouses in court. She looked at my case and smiled. Oh, he messed up. He really messed up. How? I'm the one who went through his phone. In Washington state, we're a no-fault divorce state, but infidelity can still impact asset division, especially when there's evidence of financial deception. And Diane, those texts about planning to leave you, those hotel charges that I'm betting are on a joint credit card, that's financial infidelity. He was using marital assets to conduct his affair. She was thorough. Within a week, Victoria had uncovered 6 months of hotel charges, expensive dinners, even a piece of jewelry purchased on our joint American Express, a gold necklace Marcus had definitely never given to me. He's been spending thousands of your shared money on this woman. That's not going to play well. Marcus's lawyer tried to negotiate. I said no. He tried again, offering me more of the house equity. I said no. Victoria counseled patience. He's going to try to make you the villain, the crazy wife who violated his privacy, but we have financial records and we have the evidence from his phone that you very reasonably accessed when you had suspicions of infidelity. A judge is going to see right through him. She was right. As we moved through the divorce proceedings, more truths emerged. It wasn't just Melissa. There had been another woman before her, a law school intern named Jenna. And before that, suspiciously close friendships with colleagues that Marcus's friends finally admitted had probably crossed lines. He has a pattern, Victoria explained. Serial emotional affairs at minimum? This isn't about you, Diane. This is who he is. David, Marcus's best friend and best man at our wedding, called me one evening. I should have said something, he admitted, years ago. I knew he had wandering eyes, but I thought marriage would change him. I thought you'd be different. You knew? The betrayal was fresh all over again. You knew and you let me marry him? I didn't know he'd actually cheat. I'm sorry, Diane. I'm really sorry. For what it's worth, you deserve so much better. I hung up on him. I wasn't ready for apologies from bystanders. The discovery phase of the divorce was brutal. Marcus fought every document request, every deposition. He accused me of harassment, of character assassination, of trying to ruin his career. His parents called me, begging me to be reasonable. Marcus made a mistake, his mother said. Everyone makes mistakes. Why are you being so vindictive? A mistake is forgetting to take out the trash. A 6-month affair using our joint finances isn't a mistake. It's a choice he made every single day. She hung up on me. I never heard from Marcus's family again. The worst part was seeing him around Seattle. It's not a big city, not really. Not when you're in the same professional circles. I'd see him at networking events, at bars. Once at the farmer's market we used to go to together. He was always with her, Melissa. Young, pretty, laughing at his jokes like they were the funniest things she'd ever heard. Once he approached me at a charity gala we both had to attend for work. Diane, can we talk? No. I just want you to know I never meant to hurt you. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw a stranger. You called me crazy for trusting my instincts. You gaslighted me for months. You made me doubt my own sanity. And now you want me to believe you didn't mean to hurt me? It got complicated. It got simple the moment you decided to cheat. You're just too much of a coward to own it. His face flushed. You went through my phone, Diane. You violated my privacy. You're not innocent here. You're absolutely right. I said, my voice steady. I did violate your privacy because you violated our marriage. And I'll tell you what, I'd do it again. Because knowing the truth, even when it hurts, is always better than living a lie. I walked away. It was the last time we spoke outside of legal proceedings. Despite Victoria's best efforts to settle, Marcus insisted on going to trial. His lawyer had convinced him he had a case, that he could paint me as a paranoid, controlling wife who had driven him away with my possessiveness. Let him try, Victoria said grimly. The financial records don't lie. The trial was scheduled for September, 6 months after that Tuesday. I'd lost 15 pounds I couldn't afford to lose. I'd started seeing a therapist, Dr. Patricia Wong, who helped me understand that Marcus's manipulation had been methodical, calculated, and not my fault. Gaslighting is insidious, Dr. Wong explained. He made you doubt yourself systematically, so that when you finally trusted your instincts, you felt guilty about it. That's intentional psychological abuse. The first day of trial, I wore a navy suit and my most confident smile. Marcus showed up in his best courtroom attire, flanked by his lawyers. Melissa wasn't there. She'd been subpoenaed, but had mysteriously developed a scheduling conflict. The proceedings were everything Victoria had promised. We presented the financial records, $23,000 in hotel charges, dinners, gifts, and trips over 6 months. We showed the text messages where Marcus and Melissa had discussed his exit strategy from our marriage. We provided testimony from a digital forensics expert about the phone records. Marcus's lawyer tried to make me the issue. He questioned my stability, my decision to invade Marcus's privacy, my supposedly controlling behavior. Mrs. Chen, his voice dripping with condescension, isn't it true that you regularly checked your husband's whereabouts? I asked where he was when he came home hours late. Yes. And you went through his personal communications without his consent. After months of suspicious behavior and lies, I accessed a phone that was in our shared home using a passcode he'd never changed. I was looking for the truth about my marriage. I found it. So you admit to violating his privacy. Victoria stood. Objection. Asked and answered. Counsel is badgering the witness. Sustained, Judge Martinez said. She was a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. I liked her immediately. When Marcus took the stand, he painted himself as the victim. His wife didn't trust him, his wife was always suspicious, his wife had pushed him away with her jealousy. And in that difficult environment, his lawyer asked, "You found emotional support elsewhere?" Yes. Melissa understood what I was going through. She was a friend when I needed one. Just a friend. Marcus had the grace to look uncomfortable. It evolved, but I never intended it to happen. I was lonely in my own marriage. Victoria's cross-examination was surgical. Mr. Chen, you testified that you were lonely in your marriage. Did you express this loneliness to your wife? We didn't communicate well. That's not what I asked. Did you tell your wife you were unhappy? In not so many words. Did you suggest marriage counseling? No. Did you do anything to try to repair your marriage before beginning your affair with Miss Burke? Silence. Mr. Chen, please answer the question. I don't remember. You don't remember if you tried to save your marriage before cheating on your wife. Let's move on. These hotel charges, exhibits 12 through 47, totaling $15,000. These were for your meetings with Miss Burke? Yes. Charged to credit cards shared with your wife? Yes. Did you tell your wife you were spending this money? No. Did you tell her that you were staying in hotels with another woman? Of course not. Because you knew it was wrong. Because I knew she'd overreact. Overreact to adultery? Victoria's tone was ice. Mr. Chen, do you believe your wife had a right to know that you were having an affair? It was complicated. Yes or no, Mr. Chen? Yes, but thank you. No further questions. The trial lasted 3 days. On the final day, as we waited for Judge Martinez's ruling, Marcus tried to speak to me in the hallway. Diane, I didn't let him finish. Don't. I just want you to know that I did love you. Once. But not enough to stay faithful. Not enough to be honest. Not enough to matter. He looked like he wanted to say more, but Victoria appeared and guided me away. Judge Martinez's ruling was swift and comprehensive. She awarded me 70% of our shared assets, including the house. Marcus would keep his retirement accounts, but would pay me substantial spousal support for 3 years. Enough time, the judge noted, for me to stabilize after the emotional and financial harm his deception had caused. This court finds that Mr. Chen engaged in a systematic pattern of financial deception and emotional abuse, Judge Martinez said. He used marital assets to conduct an extramarital affair, lied repeatedly to his spouse, and engaged in behavior designed to make Mrs. Chen doubt her own perceptions and sanity. This is unconscionable. She looked directly at Marcus. Mr. Chen, you are an attorney. You understand the law. You chose to violate your marital vows and your financial obligations to your spouse. You do not get to claim victimhood because she discovered your deception. Then she looked at me, and her expression softened slightly. Mrs. Chen, I understand the difficulty of the choice you made to access your husband's phone. In an ideal world, we would never need to verify our spouse's faithfulness. But you had reasonable suspicion based on months of deceptive behavior, and you were correct in your assessment. You were not the villain in this story. As we left the courtroom, Marcus had to call me Mrs. Chen one more time as we finalized paperwork. His voice was stiff, formal. The man who had once called me babe and sweetheart now addressed me like a stranger. No, not a stranger. A stranger might get warmth, civility. He addressed me with the cold formality reserved for an opponent. Mrs. Chen, please sign here. Mrs. Chen, these are your copies. And finally, as we finished the last document, thank you, madam. Madam. I'd gone from the love of his life to madam in a courthouse hallway. Victoria caught my eye and gave me the smallest smile. Victory tasted bittersweet. The first night alone in the house, my house now, was strange. Gatsby followed me from room to room like he sensed the change, the permanence of Marcus's absence. I sat on the couch, our couch, and realized I could throw it out if I wanted to. I could repaint the walls, rearrange the furniture, make this space entirely mine. So I did. Over the next few months, I transformed the house. The master bedroom got new paint, a soft gray blue that Marcus would have hated. I donated his favorite chair, the leather monstrosity that had dominated our living room. I hung my own artwork, bought plants, installed shelves for the books that Marcus had always complained were cluttering our space. I threw myself back into work. My company had been understanding during the divorce, and I'd been promoted to VP of Marketing during the proceedings, a bittersweet triumph that Marcus would have once celebrated with me. Rachel set me up on a few dates. They were disasters, mostly. I wasn't ready. Not really. Dr. Wong reminded me that healing wasn't linear. You're not going to wake up one day magically over this. You're going to have good days and bad days. You're going to see happy couples and feel angry. You're going to hear a song you danced to at your wedding and cry in your car. And then, gradually, those moments will hurt less and less, until one day you realize you've thought about him for 5 minutes instead of 5 hours. She was right. I started traveling, something Marcus had never wanted to do. Too expensive, he'd always said, while apparently spending thousands on hotel rooms for his affair. I went to Iceland, to Japan, to Barcelona. I sent postcards to myself. Wish you were here, signed with my own name. A joke, but also not. I reconnected with old friends, the ones who drifted away during my marriage because Marcus had found them annoying or too dramatic. Turns out they were neither. They were wonderful, and they'd missed me. I adopted another dog, a small terrier mix named Scout, who hated everyone except Gatsby and me. Perfect. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into David at a coffee shop. He looked uncomfortable when he saw me, like he might bolt. Diane. Hi. David. How are you? Better, I said, and meant it. Much better. I'm glad. I really am. For what it's worth, Marcus and Melissa broke up about a month after the divorce. I waited for the vindication, the satisfaction. It didn't come. I just felt tired. Okay. He's not doing well. Lost a lot of clients after word got around about the trial. His firm's not happy. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and surprised myself by meaning it. Not sorry enough to care, but sorry in the way you feel for anyone whose life falls apart, even if they built the bomb themselves. Are you, though? I thought about it. Yeah. I don't wish him ill, David. I just wish he'd been honest. I wish he'd loved me enough to leave before he cheated. I wish a lot of things, but mostly I wish him well, somewhere far away from me. David nodded. He asks about you sometimes. Tell him not to. A year after the divorce was finalized, I found myself at the aquarium, standing in front of the jellyfish tank where Marcus had proposed. I'd avoided this place, but my niece was visiting from Montana, and she'd begged to see the octopus exhibit. As I watched the jellyfish pulse and drift, I realized I didn't feel anything. Not anger, not sadness, not the ghost of what we'd had, just a distant sort of curiosity about the woman I'd been, the one who'd said yes so quickly, who'd believed so completely. Aunt Di, can jellyfish feel happy? My niece, Emma, tugged on my hand. I smiled. I don't know, sweetie, but I think they just feel whatever they feel, you know? They don't worry about it. They just exist. That's cool. Yeah, it really is. Later, after I'd dropped Emma off at my mom's house, I drove home through the Seattle drizzle. My house, not Marcus's, not ours, mine, glowed warm in the gray evening. Gatsby and Scout would be waiting, probably destroying something expensive because I'd left them alone too long. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? This is Amanda Rodriguez from Seattle Metropolitan Magazine. We're doing a feature on successful women in tech, and your name came up. Would you be interested in an interview? I pulled into my driveway, looking at my house, my home, the life I'd rebuilt from ruins. Yes, I said. I'd love to. As I hung up, I realized I hadn't thought of Marcus once during the call. Hadn't thought about how he'd feel about the publicity, what he'd say, whether he'd approve. I just said yes because I wanted to. That night, I opened a bottle of wine, not the expensive kind Marcus had insisted on, but the cheap Moscato I secretly loved. I sat on my new couch with both dogs and started planning a trip to Greece, solo, just because I could. My phone buzzed. Rachel. Dinner tomorrow? New Ethiopian place. Perfect. 7? See you there. Love you. Love you too. I looked around my living room at the life I'd built in the wreckage. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It wasn't the perfect partnership I'd thought I had. But it was real, and it was mine. And it was good. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, but Scout lost his mind with territorial barking, while Gatsby just wagged his tail, useless as always. I opened the door to find a delivery person holding flowers. Diane Chen? That's me. She handed me the bouquet, sunflowers, my favorite. The card read, "Congratulations on the promotion. You earned it. Your team at work." I brought them inside, arranged them in a vase, and took a photo. Instagram caption, "New beginnings bloom in unexpected places." Rachel commented immediately, "That's my girl." I smiled, and it reached my eyes. People ask me sometimes if I regret looking at Marcus's phone, if I wish I'd stayed in ignorance, kept the marriage, chosen the comfortable lie over the painful truth. The answer is no, not for a single second. Because here's what I learned. Your instincts are not crazy. Your gut feelings are not paranoia. When someone makes you doubt your own perception of reality, that's not love. It's manipulation. I was called crazy for trusting myself, for believing that the man I loved owed me honesty, for refusing to accept gaslighting as normal, for demanding better than lies. And you know what? I'd rather be called crazy and know the truth than be called sweetheart and live a lie. The phone didn't destroy my marriage. Marcus destroyed it months before I ever picked up his device. I just had the courage, or maybe the desperation, to stop pretending I didn't see the flames. Today, I'm not married. I don't have the white picket fence or the perfect family photos, but I have something better. I have myself back. The woman who trusts her instincts, who doesn't apologize for demanding honesty, who knows that being alone is infinitely better than being with someone who makes you feel crazy for expecting basic respect. Marcus calls me Madame in legal documents now, and honestly, I prefer it to the lies he used to wrap in terms of endearment. I'm not bitter. I'm free. And that makes all the difference. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever doubted yourself because someone else made you question your own reality, know this: you're not crazy. You're not paranoia. You're human with excellent instincts that are trying to protect you. Trust them. There's so much more on my channel. Stories of resilience, reinvention, and finding yourself after everything falls apart. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and hope.